welcome, Christian. It's amazing that you're here. I have come to understand that there's this specific term, this specific topic you're focused on, and it's called molecuulwende. Can you sort of explain to us what it specifically entails that you're focusing on there?
Yeah, thank you. It's a good question. I'm often asked. So in a way, it's very easy. We just heard, and in Germany, the figure is even lower than 25%. 20% of our energy is covered by electricity at the moment.
Right.
And this figure has been stable over the last 20 years, despite all the electrification we are discussing, that with electric vehicles, heat pumps, and in industry. We are sure that share will increase because of ramping up of electric vehicles, of heat pumps, and electrification of industry. But there will be a very high demand for molecules to secure energy demand in the future.
Right. So you say the potentiality there is really big. At the same time, you also argue that the discussion should not just be about, when we look at renewable molecules, it shouldn't just be about focusing on hydrogen, but also on hydrocarbons. Now, I would really love to hear from you specifically, why is that the case, and what are sort of like the potential applications for renewable molecules?
Well, of course, there are many applications where we really need hydrocarbons because they have a very high energy density. Yeah. You can transport them, you can store them easily. In many applications, it's a bit like a battery in a way. You have it distributed, and you can transport it that easily, you can develop global markets for these products. Yeah. Today it's mainly oil, but it could be biofuels or in future synthetic fuels, and they are far easier to transport than hydrogen. Yeah. And for an industrial nation or a region like Europe, having the availability of global feedstocks is key to keep to have a competitive energy supply. So we need it. And to tell you some examples, aviation will not fly without hydrocarbons. Right. In the shipping sector, it's very reasonable that we replace fossil fuel by renewable hydrocarbons or methanol. This is another chemistry. And the third thing is we shouldn't forget about the chemical industry. Yeah. So where you need hydrocarbons in plastics, in all other materials, or for lubricants, for example. Yeah. So we cannot live without hydrocarbons. So we need carbon in addition to hydrogen. But
that's interesting, because I actually want to ask you if you could elaborate on that. When we look at the sort of petrochemical sector, why is it so important against this backdrop that when we talk about green molecules, we specifically focus on the modernization there?
Well, today 70% of the feedstocks for chemical industry is coming from refineries, 15% from gas, and the rest is renewables, mainly biomass at the moment. Yeah. So it will not be possible to change all that one-to-one, and it makes a lot of sense to develop strategies how that can be transformed to renewable hydrocarbons.
Yeah, for sure. And Christian, another element that I'm actually really interested in, when we sort of look at the potentiality that the significance of the green molecules markets can have in the future, I'm very interested to see sort of how you see that long-term vision. But also, there is oftentimes we talk about the raw materials needed, right, when we talk about renewables. What sort of raw materials should we think of when we talk about the green molecule sector? Like, where will we get it from? What will that also do for like the evolvement of that sector?
So we shouldn't forget that at the moment we import 70% of our energy to Germany, and mainly in form of hydrocarbons, oil, gas, a bit coal. And if we look at the future, we have mainly three sources for carbon neutral or CO2 neutral hydrocarbons. It's biomass, it's recycling, of course. If you look at plastics, for example, it's recycling. And the third thing is, of course, using CO2 as carbon feedstock and adding hydrogen to it, and then you produce hydrocarbons from that. Yeah. So we see many countries that could supply Europe with hydrocarbons because they have better conditions for renewable energy. At the end, you need cheap electricity.
Either way, I mean, we know that we need to get there. But I mean, if I hear all of this, Christian, it sounds very promising. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of potentiality here. We'll probably see like an upskirt and growth in there. What would you say are some hurdles or obstacles that we need to be on the lookout for now to prevent that they will not block sort of the transformation and acceleration of this?
In fact, first of all, we have to acknowledge, and we are in a good dialogue with the Ministry of Economics here in Germany, that the transformation of the industry is needed. Mm-hmm. So first of all, this needs to be accepted. But second thing is, the regulatory framework is not sufficient to make these investments work. We have to learn that these renewable hydrocarbons are more expensive than the fossil ones, and to create the business cases, you need basically three things. Long-term reliable supply of the feedstocks. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of international cooperation and of course regulation to have certified sustainable feedstocks. The second thing is you need long-term demand, including the willingness to pay. Yeah. Because this is something that needs to be developed. And the third thing is, of course, you need a possibility to produce from these feedstocks the hydrocarbons in a way that it's affordable to the consumer. Right. If we cannot provide affordable fuels and feedstocks, the acceptance of the energy transition will fail. Right. So this is key to develop that strategy. And at the moment, I must say, the regulatory framework is not sufficient to make the investments work. We have mandates, we have some kind of CO2 pricing, but the reliability for these upfront investments, similar to batteries we just heard before, you need to invest billions
the Swiss
and
knife
hope
analogy.
That there will be somebody who pays for it in 20 years for the products. And so we need, in addition to that, de-risking instruments to get these markets started. Yeah, but it's quite a statement, right? That if we don't have the willingness to pay, you say it will not succeed, the transition. Yeah. So that sort of shows the urgency right there with regards to it. Yeah. I want to thank you so much. But we have a big round of applause, everyone, for Professor Christian Küchen. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you. Thank you so much.